Hello and welcome back to another video in which I will try to uncover the secret meaning behind the talismans. I think Season 4 revealed a lot of information, and based on everything we know so far, we can speculate about their true meaning. The show's creators also said that the talisman symbol is a major clue to the mythology. Before I start this video, I want to address something that I still see a lot of people believing, and that is the idea that the talismans don't actually work. There is a very popular theory in the fandom that says the talismans don't work, and that the monsters only pretend that they work so people can have a sense of hope and security. According to this theory, the monsters feed on that hope and fear, which is why they act as if the talismans are protecting people. If in Season 3 this theory still had a slight chance of being true, Season 4 definitely debunked it. Yet somehow there are still a lot of people who believe it. For me, it was pretty clear that the talismans worked because when Boyd first discovered them, he had no idea that such a thing existed. When he went into the talisman hut, he thought that this was the end for him. Surprisingly, the monsters simply stood there at the entrance, and after that they left without even trying to attack him. This is why Boyd looked around the cave to figure out why the monsters were behaving like this, and only then did he discover the talismans. Also, if the monsters feed on the hope provided by the talismans, why didn't the previous cycle have access to them? Thirdly, we saw that Boyd found the talisman hut because he followed the dog, and the dog has always been associated with the good side of that place, with the part that is trying to help humanity. The talismans were a reward granted to Boyd because he had the courage to explore the forest. Or, in better terms, Boyd completed a ritual, and that ritual granted the people protection from the monsters. Yet somehow people dismiss all of this evidence and still believe that the monsters are just pretending. The ultimate argument, and something that I think no one can really dispute, is the fact that Sophia gathers all the talismans at the end of Season 4 and throws them through the tree. Let me ask you a question. If the talismans didn't actually work, why would Sophia go through all that trouble to gather them, risking that someone would see her? This is the ultimate proof that the talismans work. There is no denying it. Now, whether the talismans would arrive back at the talisman hut or in a completely different location is a different matter. We still don't know if the tree has the power to transport people or objects through time. So far, we have only seen it transport people or objects within the same timeline. Based on this logic, it would mean that after Sophia throws the talismans through the tree, they would simply spawn somewhere else in Fromville. There are some fans suggesting that some of them could spawn in the tunnels, where they would eventually be discovered by Boyd. This could be how Boyd and the others find out that they have a traitor among them. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the talisman. We can see that it contains 8 of those F symbols displayed in a circle. We also see half of the moon here and half of the sun on the other side. In the middle, we can see the figures of 2 people, 2 simplified stick figures placed opposite each other, with their heads pointing away from the center. And in the exact center, we have those lines that seem to come together in an X. Let's take each element separately and see what we can decipher, starting with the F symbol. We see that symbol appear in 2 other instances, in the cave drawing and on Victor's map. Based on all of that, we could speculate that they represent trees. The half moon and half sun represent the transition from night to day. As for the 2 stick figures, based on what we saw in Episode 9, the show revealed that they are Tabitha and Jade. More precisely, their reincarnations. Finally, for that X symbol, we have 2 powerful candidates. The first is the Ingwaz rune. In the Elder Futhark, this rune represents growth, internal energy, and new beginnings. It is shaped like a central diamond, often drawn with extending lines at the top and bottom, just like the symbol we see here. The second is an Othala rune variant. While Othala typically has legs extending only from the bottom, stylized or bind rune versions can feature overlapping lines at both the top and bottom. It is associated with home, heritage, and ancestral land. As we can see, both runes seem to tie into the story of From. Now let's combine everything and see what we get. I believe the talismans are a depiction of the main story of From. They represent the sacrifice, the original action that sparked everything. The F symbols represent the trees, the forest that surrounds everything in Fromville. Now, here is the interesting part. When Jade had his first vision of the sacrificed children, we saw that there were a total of 7. When he found the sacrificial chamber, he saw the same 7 stones, but in the center we have another one, the one where the bones were buried. The reason why there are 8 F symbols instead of 7 is because the original sacrifice was supposed to involve 8 children in total, but Jade and Tabitha changed their minds and, at the last second, managed to help one escape. That child who escaped is the boy in white. I know this is an already known theory, but trust me, it makes a lot of sense. And usually the simplest answer is the correct one. We don't need to overcomplicate things. Here is what we know about the monsters. They were the parents who sacrificed their children. But here is the catch. In the final episodes, after Jade and Tabitha dug up the bones and escaped from that chamber, we saw Tabitha take one of the skulls and recognize it as belonging to their daughter. They took the bones of their daughter from the piles of children who were sacrificed. So, this means that their daughter died. But then, why were Jade and Tabitha the only parents who didn't transform into monsters and instead kept getting reincarnated over and over again until the curse was broken? The reason for this is that they saved the 8th child. I said that the 2 stick figures represent Jade and Tabitha, but I think they represent more than just them. I think they represent all the parents who went through with the sacrifice. The reason they are shown like this is because they are in a mirror version, and the fact that the moon and the sun are on their left and right represents the fact that the parents sacrificed their children to become monsters. They sacrificed the ability to walk in the light in order to live an eternity in the darkness. On the bottom is what was sacrificed, while on the top is what was gained. The X symbol is very important, and it's the element that ties both versions together. The runes themselves seem to reinforce this structure. At the very center, where the 2 figures meet, you have the shape of Ingwaz, the rune associated with new life and the seed, sitting right between the parents, representing the 8th child they saved. Surrounding it is Gebo, the X rune associated with sacrifice and sacred exchange, which literally ties the upper world of light to the lower world of darkness. We see that the X symbol is what ties everything together, because the totem that guards the forest settlements also seems to have this same structural system. This is why I believe that the talismans represent the sacrifice and one of the main themes of From. The show's producers told us that the first episode contains more clues than we realize, and one of the main themes is the loss of a child. The show literally starts with a child being killed because her father failed to protect her. This is also the reason why the Matthew family was on this road trip in the first place. The family had grown apart because of the death of Thomas. In a way, this would bring the story full circle. The story would begin with a parent failing to protect their child, and it would end with the parents finally being able to do the right thing. Now, regarding the boy in white. Sarah told us that she doesn't think he is actually a boy. This means he is most likely an entity from that place. I would say that he is more like the apparition of Father Khatri than he is like the man in yellow. I believe that the sacrifice required drinking blood, and I think it required drinking the blood of the man in yellow mixed with the blood of the children. This is why the one-eyed man made Jade drink blood from that skull. In that way, his past reincarnation was trying to make him remember what had happened. The reason why I think they also required the blood of the man in yellow is because we saw in episode 9 that Clara made Fatima drink the man in yellow's blood. And he said that he does this in order to speed things up, referring to Fatima's transformation. I don't know exactly how the sacrifice played out or how Jade and Tabitha were able to interrupt it, but I'm sure we will learn more about this in the final season. If I were to summarize everything we talked about in this video, I believe that the talismans depict the original story of the sacrifice and how people traded their children for immortality. I don't think we need to overcomplicate things and come up with insane meanings or look throughout all of mythology for an explanation behind every tiny line we see on them. We know for a fact that we will get an answer regarding this in the final season, so let's hope we get something right. Now I want to hear your opinions. What do you think the talismans represent?